So welcome to the equipment lesson, actually the equipment section. We're going to go over several different types of equipment. And what I figured I would do is take you on a little tour of some of the great online brew supply stores that I know and trust and have used. So we're starting with Northern Brewer, and that's at northernbrewer.com. And this first lesson is about the brew kettle. So let's dig right into the type of brew kettle that you'll need and some of your other options on kettles that you don't necessarily need right now, but what to look forward to when you start advancing into the craft of home brewing. So in the video that our brew day will be shot on, you'll see that I'm using an aluminum brew kettle. Now, I didn't go through a course like this when I first got started, and so I went to a kitchen supply store and bought an aluminum brew kettle. While you can certainly use aluminum, it's one of those things that for about the same amount of money that I'm going to show you now, you might as well go stainless steel. The big difference between the two, what I've heard as far as the heat dispersion, is that aluminum heats a little bit more even on the bottom, and when you get into some of these more expensive brew kettles, what the stainless steel brew kettles, what they do is they layer aluminum and sandwich it between the stainless steel on the bottom. So the other downside to an all aluminum brew kettle is that it does have some discoloration. It does create discoloration on the inside of the kettle. So that's kind of the primary differences between the two. And what I want to show you is the type of kettle that you need for your brew day, which would be something like this little guy down here, this 5-gallon stainless kettle. Now, you may be asking, well, why not a 7.5-gallon? Well, first of all, you can see the cost difference between the two, and the type of brewing that we're doing with extract, we don't need that large of a kettle. We don't need that much volume because we are adding water. We're topping our fermenter off with water, so we don't necessarily need to boil all 5 gallons in the kettle itself. Now, when you get into all grain brewing and more advanced brewing, you will need a larger kettle, something like a 7.5-gallon, to hold 5 to 6 gallons of liquid within that kettle itself to work with and boil and add all of your ingredients. But for what we're doing, this would work great. So you can see that this particular kettle is $40. So I'm going to show you here. Now today's January 15th, 2015. So I'm not quite sure how long this sale is going to be going on, but we're over at Adventures in Homebrewing, and their website address is homebrewing.org. And you can see that here's another, the regular price on this pot is $35, but it's on sale for $20 right now, which is a fantastic deal. So again, the brew kettle is your main piece of equipment. Since you don't, if you know that you're really going to be into this craft, I would certainly recommend going to a higher quality brew kettle, possibly with some valves if you don't want to buy another piece of equipment when you move into all grain. So let me just show you what those look like. So let's see, let's find a small one here. Here's an 8-gallon. And this doesn't have any valves. So let's go up and look at this particular 8-gallon. This is called an HLT, which is a hot liquor tank. But I just want to give you an idea of what it would look like. So you would have a valve, and you would also have a thermostat on there, a thermometer, to show you exactly what the internal temperature is. So you can see the price difference. So I just want to give you a look ahead on what brew kettles are going to cost. And you can also look around. So for instance, on the Adventures in Homebrewing, if we go to brew pots, let's just see exactly what they have here with valves. So here's let's see, these are kind of large. So here's one. Here's a 2-weld 8-gallon, $80. This should fit on your stovetop, depending on whether you have a microwave on top or not. So if you wanted to move up to something right away, here's a relatively affordable brew pot that you could buy. And these two valves, again, one is for the thermometer and one is for the ball valve that your liquid will come out of. So that's our discussion on brew kettles, and on the next lesson we're going to talk about the beer bucket.